I want to make a video for all my classes, Comp 1, Comp 2, all of them, that's going over, I'd like to go over this revision checklist that I'm going to post in announcements and in the today's date, the last week that we're working on the essay. So this revision checklist goes over uh, all like the most, what is it called? Uh, let's see. Checklist the most. Sorry, I'm reading the checklist paper. It goes over like the errors in a whole lot of essays. The errors in a vast majority of students' essays get these errors, and I would rather that students find them before they turn them in because they're very simple errors. So let me share my screen here, and we're going to go over this revision checklist and then I'm going to upload it. And it'd be a lot easier if you were able to print it out and check it off, but if not, download it and put an X. Make sure that you're searching your own essay for these errors before you turn your essay in. This checklist is worth 25 points of your grade, so of your essay grade. So, and what that means is if you go through and check them, make sure you get the points just for turning in the just for turning in the checklist, but you didn't actually check your essay for these things, then that's 25 points of your grade that you cannot get back. To you are able to revise this essay. That's why the very next essay is really easy. I'm going to make a second video that goes over the essay that we're going to get into next week. So some students might want to get a jump start on the next essay. It's meant to be easy and fun, so that way, and then we're going to work on it pretty much all through the month of April. So that way you can revise this essay. But one of the things that you cannot revise this essay is if you go over the checklist and you miss a lot of these, then those are 25 points you won't get back just because again they're very easy errors. So let's go over it. Let me share my screen here. Share screen. What are you doing? Did Zoom change on me? Anyway, maybe that's it. Share. There we go. All right. Share screen. All right, so the revision checklist. Now, first of all, this isn't really part of the revision checklist. Just make sure that your essay is in MLA format, mostly that it's double spaced. So make sure that it is on there. Make sure that your essay is double spaced, please, because I cannot grade in between really close lines. I can't comment between lines that are way too close together. All right, so let's make sure that you are, make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you double space your essay. If you need some help double spacing your essay, let me know. So make sure that we don't have any announcements in the intro or the conclusion or even the body paragraphs. We don't want to say, in this essay, I plan to discuss, I am going to talk about, in conclusion, my next point is, we don't want to have any of those announcements. You just want to go straight into what you're discussing, right? So we don't want to say, my next point is, just state your point like it's a fact. Just state your point, right? We don't want in conclusion. So let's not have in conclusion. Now, let's say that you do have the words in conclusion, but you don't have in this essay, you don't have my next point. You just happen to have typed in conclusion. That is not an automatic minus 25 points or anything. I will just make a note. So this is like an error that's all throughout your essay. Now, let's say that you do have in conclusion and you have a couple contractions and you have some slang, that you have a multiples, then yes, we are going to lose a lot of points that way for not checking our essay. All right, but that's the first one. That says announcements. So we want to make sure that we don't have any announcements in our essays. All right, I'm going to highlight them as I go to show what we've talked about. The next one are contractions. We want to spell our words out right here. We do not want it's or don't or isn't or can't or any of those. There, we want to spell those words out. So it's is it is, there is they are. I'll add that one here, right? Doesn't go down. All right, so there They are. So let's spell out our words. That's very non-academic. That's non-academic writing. So let's not have any contractions in our essay. So check your essay, make sure you don't have any contractions. Um, the next one is second person you. So that means you, your, and yourself. We don't want those words. Now, if you're quoting, I had a student ask me this, if you find a quote that you like, and the quote, the direct quote from a source has these things, then yes, you want to have those directly quoted exactly as you see them in your quote. You want them to be directly quoted. So if you find a quote that says you and your, that's from a source, then that's perfectly fine. But you don't want for you yourself to type in you, your, and yourself. You want to have that specific target audience. So like I, me, my, that first person, perfectly fine. If you're talking about my story, my father, my mother, that's great. You can reflect back on like young adults. You can have I, me, my, and then reflect back on other young adults or other students. Have that specific target audience, but you don't want this second person, you, yourself. All right. The next one is slang. So words like mom, dad, kid, that's slang. We want words like mother, father, child, children. We do not want Gigi, Papa, Mimi, any of those. That's very not academic. This is a academic Comp 1 course and Comp 1 and Comp 2 courses. So we do not want slang like mom, dad, kid. We want to spell those words out, right? So let's spell out those words. Um, I mean, not spell. Let's have the correct words, the correct academic diction with these words. All right. Uh, the next one, we don't want to have a really vague, we don't want to have a constant vague target audience. So if you have a really good target audience and you just refer to people a couple of times, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about students who have no target audience throughout their essay and they say people, everyone, everybody, someone, somebody. We want to have that target audience. All right. You want to make sure that you have that target audience in your essay and not these words like people and everyone and everybody. So check for that. Make sure you don't have a whole lot of that in your essay. The next thing is just really vague diction, really vague word choice, right? We don't want words like something, thing, everything, in the world today. We don't know what it's like in the world today, right? You don't know what it's like in China, in Australia, and you don't know what it's like there. So let's just keep that very narrow down to in in my area and culture today. However, you have to edit that to where you're not saying the world, right? And then words like something, thing, everything, it's always, that's really vague. That really has no meaning whatsoever in your essay. So let's stray from these using a whole lot of these words. Let's stray from using a whole lot of those words. All right. So the next one is just subjective value. It's like I like Pringles or I like Coffee Mate. It is good. I love the commercial. The commercial was great. Let's stray from that also. That's just subjective value that just wastes a lot of room in your essay. And we want to have solid points in our essay. Like instead of I like Pringles, the Pringles commercial um, uses my identity to sell their product, right? With the Pringles commercial uh, convinces us that unhealthy snacking is a activity for friendship, right? That's a really good point. The Pringles commercial again makes us think of our friends, so therefore we buy Pringles when we visit friends and family, right? Points like that. Not I like Pringles, I like Coffee Mate. It was great. The commercial was good, right? We want to stray from those subjective value. All right. The other one is this opinion transition. Will you move? Wait. The other one is an opinion transition. Wait. And that's where you say, like, I think, I believe, I see that. The fact that it's your essay means that you believe this and you think this, right? So we don't need, I think the commercial is manipulative. I believe the commercial uplifts my emotions. Right. We just say the commercial uplifts my emotions. The commercial inspires more athletes. We don't have to say I believe the commercial inspires athletes. Right. Because it's your essay. So of course we believe that. Then we have what's called cliches, and this is only just, I mean, this doesn't even touch on how many cliches are out there, of course. But we have, these sayings like the writing on the wall, I finally saw the writing on the wall, or it was pulling at my heartstrings, or time flew by and I didn't get those memories with my child, or, those these again, there's these sayings that really don't have any meaning anymore because they've been used so many times. They're overly used expressions. So outside the box. I was thinking outside the box. Or it was a good thing. That was a good thing. Well, that's just again wasting a lot of space in our essays. And then on the one hand, on the other hand, right? We're not technically talking about hands, and we really want to be as technical in essays as we possibly can. So let's not have those cliches there. All right. And then the last one, I'm going to keep adding to my list here as we go, but this is what I've gotten so far. This is all that you're going to get. If I add to the list, they're for future students. But the last one I'll talk about is make sure that we're spelling out those numbers. So a lot of times, here, let me put this one in here too. I want to take this out. So if we're saying 12 years old, that actually means 12 years old, right? So that's what that's supposed to look like. So we want to spell out these numbers. So we want to have 1, 26, 41, 12 years old equals 12 years old. That's what that needs to look like. So let's make sure that we are spelling out our numbers too. All right, make sure we're spelling these out. If it's under 100, if it's over 100, then you can type in the actual number. But if they're under 100, then these are just grammar rules. All these are just rules of grammar. I didn't make them up. They're all just rules of grammar. So let's make sure that we are following all these rules. Really? Let's make sure that we are following all these rules and we are writing academic essays that show that we, can write an academic essay that we, show our ethos as a student. This is how, whenever you have, so the last thing I'll say is over the weekend, unfortunately, I had to call Child Protective Services for a little girl anyway. And as I was talking to Child Protective Services, I, said, well, her father showed up, at about 1:30 in the morning. He was very confused, trying to find his child. He didn't know where his daughter was staying. And instead I didn't, and I'm not just perfect or anything, I promise, but I didn't say, oh yeah, the dad was banging on our door at 1:30 in the morning, wanting to know where his kid was, right? I mean, how do we sound whenever we talk like that? Do we want to sound like we're working on an education, that we're an educated member of society, or do we want to sound uneducated? So it's that idea, same thing in our essay, that we want to sound like an educated member of society, of course. And so I'm going to upload this checklist and this video, and let me know if you have any questions. Also, the last thing I'll say too is if you need a little extra time working on this essay, that really is okay, by like Wednesday or so. So if you upload this essay by Wednesday and not quite Monday, I would rather you take a little bit more time and go through this checklist than hurry up and get it in and just check things off, because these are things that I have to hunt down in almost every student's essay. I mean, a vast majority of students' essays have a lot of these issues, and I would rather that you find them instead of I find them, because they are very easy to spot. They're very, again, they will help you. You going through this and hunting these things down, that's a whole lot easier, a whole lot better than I hunting them, than me hunting them down. All right. So yeah, guys, go through this, take your time, go through this checklist, and make sure that you don't have these things. Okay. Let me know if you need some help. Stop share, end.